This is a production of Cornell University.
Hello everyone, my name is Kensy Rodriguez. I am a Ph.D. student at Cornell University, and today I'm with Steve Reiners. He's a horticulture specialist, and today we'll talk about some pests that can be in our gardens. So Steve, we know that there are some pests or diseases that can affect our fields or our vegetable gardens, and we would like to know what is a common pest that we will see and what are things that we can recognize to know what it is, and maybe a control that we can use to do that.
So I guess the first one we're going to be talking about today is squash vine borer, and that's a huge problem for home gardeners. If you're growing zucchini, you're probably going to have squash vine borer. And shall I show this plant right now?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a plant that we had, and I've just pulled it up. So this we just cut it right at the base of the plant here. And this is, I don't see any right here. This is where squash vine borers typically lay their eggs. And what will happen is the eggs will be laid usually within about 2 to 3 inches of where it goes into the soil. The eggs will hatch, and as soon as they hatch, they will go inside the stem, and then that's the perfect place for them. And what they'll do is they'll just start feeding inside the stem, and then they will start eating and pushing their frass out behind them, and you'll always be able to tell because you'll see some small holes, and this will just be starting to rot, and there'll be all this insect frass that's coming out. Eventually the plant will start to wilt, eventually it will die. And again, that can be a real problem, and something that more so probably home gardeners have a problem with than commercial growers.
And what we can do to control that, or is there another way that we can use to manage this problem?
Yeah, for a home gardener, it's a little bit more work, but again, since the insect is laying its eggs right here, and it's not typically laying its eggs further up on the plant, what you can do is you can wrap that stem, and people have wrapped aluminum foil around it. I've seen people wrap like old pantyhose around it. If you have a floating row cover, you could take a little strip of that and wrap that around it. And again, it only has to be up to about those 3 inches, and that will prevent the insect as it's flying. And it's a moth. Most people don't really see it, but I think you'll show a picture of it later. Mm-hmm. It's a moth that flies during the daytime hours and will be laying its eggs here. So again, if you wrap the stem, that can help. There's also another method that's approved would be to use, you could use a spray. It's called a dicuss spray, which is a bacterial material. It's approved for organic farming and organic gardening. And again, if you could spray that maybe every 5 to 7 days, just right here at the base. And again, what will happen is as soon as those eggs hatch, before they can get into the stem, they start eating, and they'll eat this bacteria. And again, it's naturally derived from soil bacteria, and that will kill them. So that's another thing that you can do. You could also cover the entire plot with row cover. Typically, we won't see vine borers around here until mid-June or so, and then they will usually, we only have one generation, so the adult moths will be active from mid-June until usually the end of July. After that, they're done. So again, a late planting of zucchini, which only takes about 60 days. If you plant it about the first week of August, you can also get around the season of it as well. Okay, a really important thing with squash vine borer as well is once you're done with your zucchini plants, even if it's wilted, if it has the squash vine borer, pull them out of the garden, compost them. If you can, find the worms themselves, the caterpillars, pull those out, because they will overwinter in the soil, and then they're just going to be a problem next spring for you as well. So again, you want to make sure that you pull up all those old cucurbit plants that you have out there. That'll help really to help control it for the following year too.
We just learned about squash vine borer, and this is a good time for us to know what to do whenever we have this problem. Thank you so much, Steve, for your advices, and I know that this will be very helpful for people that is harvesting or is having their squash plants or their zucchini plants in their fields or in a garden.
This has been a production of Cornell University, on the web at cornell.edu.